Okay, let's get started in the interest of time. I'm going to call to order the March 19th meeting of the Las Virgenes-Malibu Council of Governments Governing Board. Will the executive director please call the roll?
Aniko Gold,
Aye. Here.
Kelly Honig,
Here.
Doug Stewart.
Here.
Penny Sylvester is absent, and there's no alternate for her. President Weintraub.
Here. Now we're going to...
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. And Penny is in Washington, D.C. with her city. We're going to move ahead to approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda?
No,
Okay.
I move to approve today's agenda.
Perfect.
I
Is there a
second.
Aniko for the second. Terry, will you please call the roll?
Aniko Gold,
Aye.
Kelly Honig,
Aye.
Doug Stewart,
Yes.
President Weintraub.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great. Moving on to public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the governing board? Terry, have you received any public comments electronically?
I have not.
Since we don't have any public comments, we will move ahead to our consent calendar. Consent calendar items will be approved in one motion unless anyone would like to to move each item. Would anyone like to remove an item from the consent calendar? Okay, if not, is there a motion and a second?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Great. Terry, will you call roll?
Aniko Gold,
Aye.
Kelly Honig,
Aye.
Doug Stewart,
Yes.
President Weintraub.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great. Now we are going to move ahead to our information items. And our first item is going to be discussing the emerging role of law enforcement. Don't want to butcher the word, chaplaincy in 2024. And I would like to introduce Chaplain Phil Reeves from the Lost Hills Sheriff Station. And I've gotten to know Phil quite well over the last few years. And I'm really happy that he's here to make a presentation, introduce the program to everyone, and take some questions from this group. Phil, you're on the line? Let's see.
I think he just joined, so he might be.
Yeah, Phil, I'll give you a second. Or if not, we can take things out of order, and Terry, you can give your report first. If you can hear me, if you want to take a minute or two, Terry can go first.
Okay, I can do that. Okay, the first thing that I wanted to mention in my executive director's report is that today I'll be testifying at the Public Utilities Commission hearing on the AT&T issue. That's at 2 p.m. today. So I've forwarded and introduced all of our opposition letters, not only from the COG, but all of the cities. So that's happening today, and appreciate Hope's assistance in getting all of that input submitted. The COG's homeless working group met yesterday to go over the scope of work, the statement of work for the upcoming year. And that's basically going to be discussed later on in the agenda, so I won't explain any more of that. We are moving forward with the homeowners insurance town hall meeting that's scheduled for April 4th from 5:30 to 6:30. As you'll recall, it's a virtual meeting. The planning is going well for that. We will be having a event meeting just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page. And so that's moving forward great. Happy to answer any questions at the end about that. As we do have a special meeting coming up with Supervisor Horvath to discuss homelessness, which will be on Monday, April 22nd at 10 p.m. at Malibu City Hall. So it'll be an in-person meeting. And then the COGS hazard mitigation plan is moving forward. It's being reviewed by Cal OES. They expect to have it finalized by the end of the month, and then it'll be forwarded to FEMA. So we're hoping that we can have everything finalized by the end of August, which is when the current hazard mitigation plan expires. So that we still look on schedule to do that. As you know, it was mentioned last fall by Kelly that we wanted to have a tour of the wildlife crossing. And we waited through the winter as there wasn't a lot of work being done that was visible. But now that things are coming out of the ground, we've scheduled the next COG meeting for April. It will be on the 19th, and it will be at Agoura Hill, April 16th. It'll be at Agoura Hill City Hall. We're going to have a short business session from 8:30 to 9, and then a tour. We'll go over in a shuttle to the site, and there'll be a short tour that will be over by 10 a.m. So it'll be just the same time frame as a typical board meeting. The Measure M and Measure R projects are moving forward. The most recent check-in meeting that I had with Metro, we went over the Measure R reallocation that will be that Metro will do for Malibu this year, and that'll take place in June. And so everything's going well from that standpoint. As soon as I have the final numbers from the design engineering as far as the projected costs for the Measure R funding, I'll be able to prepare a revised Measure M funding schedule for all of the COG cities. And I do want to report, I've met with some of the cities individually over the past few weeks, and it looks like that we're going to be on schedule to submit almost a full plate of what the cities would normally do, because the way we were able to get the early allocation for the 5 million for the first year of funding, I think that everybody will be pretty much 70 to 80% of their regular allocation. So that's good news for everybody, and I'll be working with your staff on that and get that finalized and buttoned up. We had a regional smart city fiber network meeting yesterday with some of our cities, and the consultant has begun the test digging, or the field work as they call it, to make sure that the assets that they believe are in place, and that they may need access to some of the city halls just to verify certain information around the city hall and inside city hall, and that's been communicated and will be coordinated if necessary. So things are moving very well on that front, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about my report.
I think my dog has some questions for you. Thanks, Terry. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, if there's no questions for Terry, we're going to turn it back over to Phil Reeves.
Good morning. Sorry about that. I could see you, but I couldn't talk to you. My name is Phil Reeves. I'm a patrol chaplain for the Sheriff's Department. I'm assigned to the Malibu Lost Hills Station. I'd first like to say thanks to Mayor Weintraub and Captain C2 and Director Dipple for this opportunity to be here today. The Sheriff's Department has two very different and distinct chaplaincy programs. One is for inmates, the other is for patrol, which is my area of focus. As a patrol chaplain, we are all about deputy wellness and community wellness. We serve deputies, supervisors, administrative staff, retirees, volunteers, providing them emotional, psychological, and spiritual support, as well as assist community members affected by trauma, such as victims, their families, and witnesses. A bit of background about me. I'm a retired police sergeant and watch commander from the Irwindale Police Department, which is in the far east San Gabriel Valley. I began my journey as a patrol chaplain with the Sheriff's Department over 6 years ago. I'm a nationally board certified chaplain, and I'm currently working on a doctorate in ministry. My dissertation focuses on best practices models for law enforcement chaplaincy. This is a very nascent resource for public safety. It's very little known, underappreciated, underutilized, in my opinion. As part of my research, I'm creating brief surveys for stakeholders, including policymakers and legislators affiliated with the largest police and sheriff's departments in the country. Mayor Weintraub and Captain C2 generously volunteered to complete a beta version of one of these short surveys, and I hope to distribute them at a later date to council members in Agoura, Malibu, and Westlake, as well as county supervisors. I want to gather as much data as possible because I have a very demanding professor. These surveys include an introductory video about law enforcement chaplaincy. Director Dibble, do we have time to take a look at that today? Or should we press ahead? I can do a verbal review, whatever you wish.
Oh, Terry, you're on mute.
It's up to President Weintraub. I believe, Phil, it was 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 7.5 minutes.
Okay.
It's the one that you saw.
Yeah.
How about we put the video, we'll send it to all of the board members.
Yeah. Okay, let me put the link on the chat. Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay. That YouTube video is one I built for my class. It gives a kind of 50,000-foot overview of what police chaplaincy is. We work hand in hand with peer support and therapists. We're on call 24/7, 365, not unlike the model of search and rescue. We're hoping that there'll be additional buy-in with the Sheriff's Department. I can just tell you firsthand, I've seen what immense good it can do. Just in Malibu alone, I myself accompanied folks from the Malibu Creek homicide and the Kobe Bryant crash, and the family of Deputy Trinan after he passed. And basically, what we do is we embed, not unlike the template of military chaplaincy, in the department. So I ride with deputies. I try to ride with them once a week. I'm in the station once a week. So we can be proactive with deputy wellness. Chaplains don't sit in offices waiting for the deputies to come to them. We go to the deputies, and then we can funnel folks up to additional wellness resources if we feel that that's needed. So I think that's about it. Is there anything else, Captain C2 or Mayor Weintraub, you'd like me to talk about? Or I'm more than happy to answer any questions folks might have.
No, I think once everyone also watches the video, they'll gain a lot more insight. But
yeah.
I wanted to know if any of my colleagues had questions for Phil.
I just have a comment and a question. First of all, I had no idea that you existed, Phil. So Thank you. Until, this COG agenda came out and I reviewed it. So that's on me, but it's great that we now know this. So can you just give us a few more details? Like, okay, so my first question is, I assume this is, non-denominational. It's not related to any particular religious belief. And then, like, maybe like a day-to-day, what do you do? I'll let you answer rather than me questioning.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the question. You're absolutely right. It is non-proselytizing is the bottom line. We do not advocate for any religion. It's just a ministry of presence. It's just being available to people and accessible to people and listening to them. I also, probably most of you are too young to remember Rolodexes, but
I remember. Yeah. I had one.
tell these chaplains coming on board, they're like, you have to be a walking Rolodex. And they're like, what is that exactly? Just being able to really have at your fingertips as many resources as possible to help folks out and support folks. 12-step programs, marriage counseling. One good thing about the Sheriff's Department, of course, it has built-in, it has a psychological services bureau, so they have therapists available 24/7 to help folks out. Support groups, whatever folks need, you try to provide that to them. So, for example, in the station, when I go into the station, I walk around the station, I say hi to everybody, I check in with people, make myself available. A lot of cops don't feel comfortable talking to therapists or even peer support because they don't want to be seen as weak, which is unfortunate, but that's the case. Chaplains enjoy privileged confidential communications with folks under the California Evidence Code. So they may not talk to me in the station, but when you ride with somebody for 8 to 10 hours in a car, they start to talk about what's going on with them. For those of you who have kids, I remember my son, if I ever sat down with him when he was in high school and said, how you doing? It was always monosyllabic answers, good, whatever. But for some reason, I'd get him in the car to drive him to school and he'd just start to chat about stuff. So just parenthetically, that seems to be the dynamic with folks. And you get them out of the station off on their own, and they feel free to talk to you. And the good thing too is it takes about a year really to build up rapport with folks or be, seen as a trustworthy contact. But I now get calls fairly regularly from folks off duty about issues that they may be having. I really do think, it's not me personally, but this resource, I think we've saved, marriages, definitely. We've saved careers. We've de-escalated conflicts with the community on incidents. We've developed, thanks to Captain C2, she's pushed for outreach to our local faith communities and faith community leaders. So there's just a whole world of potential for building good resources with the community and for building a healthier policing model available to the communities that the Sheriff's Department serves.
I have a question too, Phil. Thank you so much. And can you please tell us very briefly what inspired you to become a chaplain?
Well, thanks. As I mentioned, I'm a retired cop. When I retired in 2013, it took me a while to kind of sort out what I had experienced. Looking back on it, there were so many times that I wished I'd had a chaplain available not only to me personally, but to help assist with calls. One of the last calls I was involved with was an active shooting call in which hundreds of people were involved, multiple homicides, and we didn't have folks available to come and talk to these victims, families, and witnesses, and so forth. So after a few years of retirement, I became aware that the Sheriff's Department was looking for chaplains, and I thought, well, hey, this is an opportunity to pay it forward. The certification I got required me to go back and get a master's degree and 1,600 hours of chaplaincy internship before I became board certified. Most chaplains don't go through that process. It's expensive. It takes a lot of time. But that's kind of the way chaplaincy is heading. If you talk to a chaplain in a hospital, for example, most of them have that educational background now. I did want to say, I think at the end of my of the YouTube video is my contact information, my personal email address here. I'll just type it in chat. If anybody has any questions at any time, you are more than welcome to contact me.
Thank you so much, Phil. I'm sure after my colleagues watch the video, they'll be just as impressed with the program as I have been getting to know you over the last few years.
Well, I'm just the messenger. I'd love to see the department adopt a model like this. It would be a first of a kind. And I've told command staff at the Sheriff's Department, I said, look, this has really got the opportunity to become a national model, a national best practices model that other agencies would like to adopt. Just really very short. Years, LASD has a MET program where they work with folks mentally ill, homeless, and homebound. 10 years ago, before I retired, if I'd gone to my chief and I said, hey, chief, let's put a cop in a car and let's put a social worker, a therapist in a car, and let's go around and talk to folks who are having mental illness issues, he would have looked at me like had just stepped off of a spaceship. I mean, it would have just been like, what are you talking about? And nowadays it's just it's because most agencies have that, thank goodness, and that's the way things go with initiatives for wellness in police departments. It's kind of slow to catch on, but once it catches on and people see what it can provide folks in their communities, it becomes the thing to do, which is rightfully so.
Thank you so much, Phil. So now you've have the introduction to everyone. So I'm sure people would be willing to, I don't want to speak for anyone, but I'm sure people would be willing to fill out the survey and they'll watch the YouTube video.
Thanks. Yeah. I'll contact the coordinators with each city council and give them some more information. And it's totally, these surveys are absolutely anonymous and confidential. And it's only if folks want to take them. They're about, Alicia, how long would you say about take 12, 15 minutes to take, or?
Not even that long, but
yeah, it's pretty short.
Worthwhile cause. So I have no doubt people will take the time.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, reach
out.
Thank
you, everybody. Thank you.
Anything more?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Now we will move ahead to our city updates. And then Terry, just in case people lose the YouTube link, because it's in the chat, can we send it off to everyone?
It just did.
So ahead of it. Okay, now we'll turn to our city updates. First, I would like to call on Lewis to give the Agoura Hills update.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Just kind of things are moving along here in Agoura. Like many of you, it's kind of budget time for us. So staff is in the middle of, just had our goals setting workshop last week to review prior year's goals. There were some additional goals that the council would like to see in 2024-25. So it's going to go back to our subcommittee process and basically get the information that we need to the subcommittees, and that'll eventually go back to the council during the budget workshop where final goals will be decided or additional goals will be decided. One of the things that we're working on right now is we are reviewing proposals for a wildlife risk assessment. The city has been working with the local fire safety council to kind of try to establish fire-wise communities in Agoura Hills in an effort to assist them with potentially lowering home fire insurance or potentially helping folks that are losing fire insurance. As everyone's aware, insurance agencies are kind of pulling out. So we were approached in the summer by a gentleman who was trying to start fire-wise communities. So with that, we are working with them, and we went to the Conservancy and asked for a grant to establish a wildfire risk assessment, which is one of kind of the documents that local fire-wise communities would be able to reference when they establish it. It would help the Fire Safety Council potentially secure additional future grant funding. So with that, right now we're in the process of reviewing some proposals. We hope to get those done in the next few weeks, and then go to council with a report as well as an agreement with a successful bidder, and then hopefully start our wildfire risk assessment, which will then later roll into a community wildfire protection plan. So other than that, I mean, there's some other stuff going on, but I just thought it would kind of make it short and sweet. So that's what's happening in Agoura Hills, and I'm more than welcome to answer any questions the board members may have.
I have a question. If and when that plan gets adopted, would that mean individual neighborhoods would not have to form their own fire safe councils?
No, my understanding is the wildfire risk assessment is something that we're doing citywide. But what would happen is it would assist the Fire Safety Council to be able to go and secure grant funding. So that document could be referenced. So let's say a small little community set up a Firewise community, they'd be able to kind of use that document to enhance whatever other programs they might do, or some of the other tasks that I guess Firewise communities have to do under CAL FIRE. My understanding, it's not costly. It's kind of more time where people go and kind of harden their homes. Sometimes I was understanding maybe a couple of inspections a year, just to kind of get residents to understand kind of how you harden your home. And my understanding is that wildfire risk assessment is just a tool that they can use, or that the local fire safety council, there's one actually in Agoura Hills that's been established, they'll be able to use that in their documents to go and secure grant funding. So they would still have to do the tasks that they're required to under the process for Firewise communities.
Okay, great. It's really interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Alicia?
Oh, yes, Kelly.
Hi, I have a question for Louis. So Louis, do you have any idea? Okay, so yeah, we know about this, which is great. Do we know how we are going to get the insurance commissioner and the insurance companies to pay attention to this? Because at the end of the day, all of our residents are interested in first getting fire insurance, because many of them now can't, and B, getting affordable fire insurance. So do you have any idea like what impact this program is going to have on that?
Our understanding in talking to the representative that we're working with is it could potentially assist. Again, it's all, and they will tell, my understanding is they will advise the residents in our community that they're working with and trying to establish these communities, that they do need to discuss this with their fire insurance, because every insurance company is different. Some insurance companies might think it's great. Others might say, well, that's not going to change. But we're hoping that this risk assessment will obviously identify overall community wildfire risk and potentially, provide potential mitigation recommendations that then the city can act on, and then kind of move forward in the next stage, which is creating a protection plan. And I think I'm just kind of speaking, not off record, but just kind of my own thoughts as I'm kind of learning more about this. I think if a community starts to show that they're taking really real initiative to do that, I think it'll be something that this region can start to kind of pressure the legislator to say, hey, look, you have communities out here, Firewise communities are already established in other areas. I think it'll help. I think eventually the insurance companies will have to kind of respond, because if you're getting communities that are really starting to harden their homes, especially in the area that we live in and work in, is that you can't ignore it. When people start taking away the vegetation that was recommended when when these kind of assessments are done, or they start really making an effort to install the firewise vents that are, are recommended. It's hard. I think it's going to be hard for an insurance company to say no. I think there'll be enough community pressure where it'll go above the local level, get to the state level, and say, hey, you really need to look at it. You have communities that are making a conscious effort to harden their homes, become very firewise. I mean, that's kind of the hope. The hope is that it will. And so that's why we decided we were going to become part of it and help and go ahead and get this assessment done. And then potentially, I think one of the goals up in Washington is to see if we can get funding to do the community protection plan as well. So
got it. Thanks, Louis. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Now I'll turn to Kindon.
Good morning, everybody. Just an update on a couple of events that we recently held just over the weekend and last week. First of all, we held our Arbor Day celebration. This is our 25th year celebrating Arbor Day as a city, and it was a wonderful event for the community. The council, others participated in tree planting at one of our local parks, well attended and well received. And then also last week, we had the grand opening of our community center. A special thank you to many of you who were there and participated on Thursday evening. And then the bigger public grand opening was held on Saturday. And we had about 2,000 people go through the center on Saturday. It is curious to see that reopening and come back and see the facility with updated and renovated and renewed, and excited about that. So with that, I don't have anything else to report. And Mayor Weintraub, unless there's anything else you'd like to add. Nope,
You've got it. Now I'll turn to Marcella for Hidden Hills.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Nice to see your faces. The big news that we have is that our city manager recruitment has launched. It is live and well. We have gone with the firm Alliance Resource Consulting. I'm going to put the link to the brochure in the chat box, and it's only open for a few weeks. So if you know of any exceptional candidates and you think that they would be fascinated, please send them over. I'm going to go ahead and put that link over in that chat, and please check it out and send us any great candidates that you might have. Mayor, did you want to add anything to our announcements for today?
No.
Oh, good. There's that microphone working. Excellent.
Yeah. Now we'll turn to Steve from Malibu.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, President Weintraub. Just a few announcements for Malibu. One, we have our Art UMass Day celebration event is coming up Saturday and Sunday, April 6th and 7th in the downtown, right on Civic Center Way. Come on out and join us for that. We're still dealing with a lot of the aftermath of all the rainfall, which is always a blessing and a curse at the same time, especially when you get so much rain in a short period of time. So we're still dealing with a number of slides throughout the city that are affecting private property, private roads, not so much city streets, but of course PCH has been affected, as well as many of the canyon roads. While it's starting to dry up, we're still in a period where we may see some new slides or continued movement. So we're keeping a sharp eye on all that. But we're bracing ourselves for potentially, more interruptions on the roadways. Speaking of roads, our top focus remains, of course, safety on Pacific Coast Highway. One of the things that we've been working on with our legislative partners, and thank you to everybody on that. Of course, there's the Senate Bill 1297 introduced by Senator Ben Allen. We are going to be sending a couple of folks to testify on that bill at the committee hearing in Sacramento coming up in a couple of weeks. So that remains, again, a top focus for us. CHP is out there working with Sheriff's Department, trying to do all they can and writing a lot of tickets. So that's been great. I'll keep it short, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Stewart if he has anything to add as well.
Well, Steve, thanks very much. Yeah, I think the issues on PCH are very clear. We've had slides, and it's affected traffic both in and out of the city, and put pressure on our neighboring cities to take the overflow that can't get down PCH. The public safety issue is top of mind. The Assembly bill we're talking about is for speed cameras. I don't want to raise anybody's expectations on this. It's a difficult hill to climb, and we just got through the legislature last year a test case for only 6 cities, and we're trying to expand on that. So we're working diligently to see if that will help. One of the other things that the city manager did not mention was our traffic synchronization program, where we're laying fiber optic cables down PCH from Topanga to basically the Civic Center area. And that will incorporate red light cameras and some other safety features that we want to bring forward. It's everything we can do to try and, as I say, set the pace on PCH. And if you ever see me on the road, you're not going to go past the speed limit. You're going to have to follow behind me. So we're trying to do the best we can, and we appreciate the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department's extra work on this. It's a major issue for us. The entire city is behind it, and we're constantly being reminded of it. Even this last weekend, we had a tragic accident on the western side of Malibu with another fatality. So it's not easy for us to solve, and we're going to keep working on it. So back to you, President Weintraub.
Thank you. I had a question, Doug, and I don't know if you know, but are most of the people that CHP and sheriff are catching speeding, are they local Malibu residents, or are they people coming into the community?
It's a great question. We actually had a study on that from the Sheriff's Department, and maybe Captain C2 might mention it too. Only about 10% of the people are from Malibu to get a ticket on the sheriff's side. The second winner is Agoura Hills. Congratulations. Please don't try to strive to be number one. The rest of them are from all over the place. The other 80%, they're from everywhere. Out of state, we get 50,000 cars a day on PCH, and it's a highway that's on a boulevard that should be a city main street, and it's a real problem for us.
Thanks for the info. Anything, I mean, everyone utilizes PCH, so anything that we can do to help with communications and support, please let us know.
Thank you very much. As I said, set the pace on PCH. I've been asked numerous times, what can we do to help? And I said, it's right in front of your steering wheel.
Great.
Get the speed down. That's the one big problem we have. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, Doug. Now we'll finish up with Rob from Westlake.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Yeah, just building off what Doug was talking about, speeding, obviously a very acute problem on PCH and a unique issue, but it's a regional issue in our COG cities. I mean, we just this week had someone arrested for driving 80 miles an hour on Agoura Road. Fortunately, Captain Sita and her team were able to, arrest the individual and impound the vehicle. But that just seems to be a regular issue. Certainly in Westlake Village, the speeding, not just a little bit, but like 70, 80, even higher speeds, which is a particular problem that we're concerned about. But in any case, other things that we're working on, as Lewis mentioned, I'm sure all cities are working on the budget process for next fiscal year. So we're working through our priorities, funding opportunities, and interest for what we're going to focus on next year. So that's taking up certainly some time. On other news, we're recruiting for a new deputy city manager in Westlake Village. So excited about that and filling that position. I want to thank some of my colleagues from the COG cities that are going to help me on that and sit on an interview panel next week. So appreciate that. And then we continue to make investments, as I've mentioned before, on sidewalks and pickleball courts and those types of things. The other thing that we're going to do actually is do some investments here at the Civic Center in Westlake Village. It's over 20 years old now, so we're going to do some renovations of our courtyard. We have these old inoperable fountains that are all going to be removed. Ultimately, we're going to install a Veterans Honor to recognize past, present, and future veterans. So we're excited about that. In addition to that, we're installing exterior cameras around the Civic Center here in our library, which we haven't done. So we look forward to doing that. And also we're going to invest in our chambers and improve the technology within the chambers, which is an exciting project. And I think Calabasas recently went through quite an extensive upgrade. I'd be curious to hear how that went, what worked and what was maybe not worth doing. So I'll follow up with you on that, Kindon. But there are a few things happening in Westlake Village. Callie and Ray are here. They may have something to add.
Kelly or Ray, anything?
No, we're good. I mean, yesterday, Alicia, Aniko, and I went to the women leaders luncheon downtown, which was exciting for the, you guys, I completely blanked on the name of the, help me.
So the 39th annual Women of the Year commemorative celebration.
Thank you.
I think it was like the Los Angeles County Commission on Women.
Yes, the Los Angeles County Commission on Women. So for us who are way out on this end of LA County, it was exciting, at least for me, to see this organization and everyone who is involved in it. You know, we really haven't had a lot of contact with it out here. That was my impression. Maybe it was just me, but all the supervisors were there in one room, which was interesting. And it was really great. Some incredibly impressive people, like the woman who is the head of Metro. You know, she was incredibly impressive. So it was a great day. That's all I have.
And just to add, it was nice. Supervisor Horvath invited us and we sat at her table. So that was nice.
Yes, thanks. That was kind of important. Thanks, Alicia.
So thank you to all the city updates. Now we will move ahead to our public safety, legislative, and agency partner updates. I will start with Captain C2.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't know why my video is not working.
We can see you.
Oh, great. So I sent out an email to the city managers. There's an article, Irvine had 34 residential burglaries in 35 days. And I think that's important for us to kind of look at, remember, we will be starting, and I definitely need to give a shout out to Kendon from Calabasas, who really helped me out with this, but we will be starting a burglary team in May. And basically it'll consist of a sergeant and deputies, as well as reserves and volunteers. So one, it'll be the enforcement side. Two, it'll be the investigative side, where we're going to be really looking and mining social media to know when these people are selling stuff and be able to target them that way. So it's going to kind of be a whole concept when to attack this burglary issue that we have in our community. We are finishing up integrating our real-time center into our CAD, our ancient CAD system that's like from the 1980s. So that's been kind of a uphill battle, but we're understanding it'll be done next week. So I do believe that the burglary team with the center, as well as the neighborhoods, we are going to be reaching out to the city managers and setting up, kind of like Calabasas did, this big, large HOA meeting, community meeting. So we can roll out a real-time crime center, but also we can give the residents some ideas of how to protect themselves and really get that engagement going. That's what we want to do. We want the community to help us and be our eyes and ears and know to report, call the station. Do not go on Nextdoor first, but like literally call the station. So thank you, Calabasas, for being the leaders on that. Our next one will be in Westlake, and then it'll be throughout the entire COG. Yesterday I attended, I was at UCLA, their policy school, to discuss speed cameras. It's interesting to know that the new transportation board is the two people who chair it currently voted against the AB 645. I learned a lot yesterday. I did not come out of that meeting hopeful. And so I will be reaching out to all of you here. I've talked to the Pepperdine parents. We are in communication. We really need to get this bill. And so, Davis, I know that you're on. I do need to talk to you, and I do not have your phone number. So maybe Sophia Sudani can kind of connect us. And that way I can get your phone number, because I'd like to talk to you today about some of the issues that came out at this meeting yesterday. And then when it comes to speed, our J team will be attending it's a CHP program. It's Train the Trainer, and the training is to really target students and parents. And so we'll be rolling that out to our entire jurisdiction. Currently, we're working with the Malibu High School, and then we will be going to Las Virgenes as well. And you know, Chaplain Phil talked about mental health for law enforcement, and he really underplayed what he does for our station. And this is not, obviously, we don't talk about the mental health of law enforcement very often. In one day, in 24 hours, we had four of our personnel commit suicide. And that was just the end of last year. And one was a dear friend at the rank of commander. And so it is an issue with us. Please support the chaplaincy, because I have used Phil when I know that deputies are struggling, whether they went out to the Pepperdine scene. I literally brought in Psychological Services Bureau and had someone call every single person that went to the scene, including our volunteers on patrol, that were really processing what they saw. And so please support that program. I'm really trying to push it through the department right now. We are getting traction, especially with the chief, who just last year, a year ago in February, lost his son to suicide. So this really does affect us. So please support us on that one. And then, you know, the idea of this faith-based community is so important. You know, last year was I did a meeting in September for faith-based, and Alicia, I know you attended that, and it was right before the stuff that we saw in Israel. And it was so important to have those relationships. So we will be doing that every year. We're going to do it again this September, and we always do it before or right before our school starts, because it's important to have those connections. And God forbid if something happens in our schools, and two, before our fire season. So we do partner with LA County Fire on this. So please, elected officials, city managers, please help us out and make this a great event, because we do use our faith-based community a lot when we are dealing with the community. Like I keep going back to the Pepperdine incident, because that really rocked our community. But it was those faith-based community leaders that I was able to reach out to help some of the parents. So thank you for that. And we will be having a 5K mental health run walk. It's just really for the Sheriff's Department families. It will be at Biscaloo Center on April 27th. And the reason why it's important is this year we will be walking on behalf of Mike Trinan. So as you know, that Mike Cherney passed away. He was our beloved motor deputy. He passed away from a medical emergency 3 years ago, March 17th. And then Mike Trinan took his life 3 years ago on April 5th. And so it's a really hard time for our station right now. And so we will be walking in honor of Mike Trinan. So any questions for Malibu Lost Hills?
Thank you, Captain C2, for everything that you guys are doing. Does anyone have any questions for the captain? Okay, then we will move along. Is Chief Smith on? Oh, I see Megan's on. Oh, I see Drew and Megan. So I will turn it over to LA County Fire.
All right, waiting for my... There we are. Good morning, everybody. Man, it is tough to follow Captain C2 because she's got so much great information. So as you know, we are unified with our Lost Hills partners. They do a fabulous job. We do a combined effort as a fabulous job, we believe. And your engagement with us is highly appreciated. So what are we doing? Well, we're looking forward to getting out of the rain, which is definitely needed. But as we know, as the rain ends, so does the drying of the grass. And so a little Cliff Clavin trivia for everybody. Once we have the rain, we have all this green up. It usually takes 75 to 90 days in there is when that green grass turns brown, and that's when we start our initial attack fire potential, and we target our high-risk days, and that's when the communication efforts go on between all the cooperators. So we are gearing up for our annual big event, which is our multi-agency training. That's where we bring in the sheriffs, we bring in our other local law enforcement partners, we bring in our other fire agencies, and we have a big workshop to make sure that we all are validated on how we're going to perform. And last year we had great participation, and we'd like some more of either city managers or anybody that you would like to represent your city to attend that, so you can see how we are conducting business, to see that unification process. So last year we had Calabasas, Westlake Village, and we like to, and Hidden Hills, we'd like to also extend that once again to everybody. We'd love for you to show up. And that is going to be, and we target that for June-ish, and we will get that information out there. And location will most likely be at the Pepperdine Calabasas campus, and Megan will distribute that information for your attendance, and we'd love for you to be there. So we're gearing up with that. As far as what's going on in the now, we are preparing for defensible space inspections, which start on May 1st on the inland side, and then as we transition to the coastal side, which will be June 1st, we have a significant amount to do. And the in-person meetings that we've had great question and answers from the community. And so we appreciate that, to educate people. There's a lot of conversation that we've already heard, the insurance company's role and the fire department's role, the state's role. And so with that, hopefully we can have some resolution. But at the end of the day, we need people to do home hardening and maintain their properties to give them the best standing chance in the event of a wildfire. And with that, your fire family is doing great. We're motivated. We're happy to help in whatever way we can, to be involved in whatever the event is. And with that, I will turn it over to Megan.
Thank you. I don't have too much. I think Chief Smith covered most of it. You mentioned the defensible space inspections, and we're also preparing for all of our spring events. We have our Fire Service Day coming up in May at Fire Station 89 in Agoura Hills, so that should be a good event. But other than that, I think we're just gearing up for the spring. Hopefully, no more rain.
Thanks, Megan and Chief Smith. Now we will move on to Supervisor Horvath's office. I see Sophia is on the call.
Hi, Alicia. Sophia Sudiani from Supervisor Horvath's office. Happy to be here with all of you this morning. A couple things I know Alicia and Kelly and Nico also mentioned, but the supervisor was thrilled to have some of our city representatives there yesterday at that luncheon, and it was a great event to honor some of the women throughout Los Angeles County. She was also thrilled. I know we've had a lot of events during Women's History Month this last month, and it's been great. I know she also enjoyed the international women's event that was done by the Calabasas Chamber and the Los Virgenes Water District. So thank you for everybody that showed up there. And also the panel was incredible, including a lot of also our city representatives here on this call. Some other updates I want to share with you throughout LA County. Now through April 1st, the LA County Commission for Women is accepting applications for their resiliency scholarship. I can put the link in our chat right now, but I really recommend that people, cities, if you can spread this message across. The scholarship is designed to assist women and girls wishing to pursue a college degree or post-secondary certification. It's a great resource for our college-bound individuals that are looking for a scholarship, and we want to help spread the word so we can get a lot of people in these areas through that scholarship. Another thing that I wanted to mention, as always, our discretionary fund application is open for nonprofits that are interested. I can feel free to also put that link in the chat in case anybody is interested, but I want to make sure that we have our nonprofits applying for that. We want to make sure we're getting funding for all our nonprofits across this area. I know a couple individuals have also mentioned, we've gotten some recent organizations that have applied to the CAL FIRE grant or just other grants on the state level or federal level or anything like that. If any of the nonprofits are looking for support letters at all, please do reach out to me. We want to make sure that, if you're going for a grant that's in a different, not on a county side, but in a different realm, that we're providing that support and helping you do the best you can to get those grants. I think, Carrie, I don't know if you mentioned already, the supervisor is going to be connecting with the COG next month regarding homelessness, and happy to be out here again for one to connect with all the COG cities as well. But I think that's it for me, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Sophia. That's great. If you could send the links to those two items that you discussed, the scholarship and the discretionary fund application for the grant or for the nonprofits.
I'd be happy to. Do you want me to email it to you or put it in the chat?
Whatever is easiest for you.
Perfect, will do.
Okay, thanks so much, Sophia. Now we will hear from Casey Ramstead, PIO from the West Valley Station of this CHP.
Hi, good morning. Officer Ramstead, CHP West Valley. I mean, we've been working with sheriffs out in the canyons quite a bit more. We've had a lot of enforcement, a lot of focus enforcement down there. One of our officers tends to end up down in the canyons more often than others, and he's been very, very proactive. Just stopped 120 mile per hour or 150 mile per hour motorcyclists on PCH. Has stopped a couple drunk drivers. We did deal with that unfortunate fatal collision on the west side, obviously still under investigation, but our officers are working diligently on that. Had to shut down one of the lanes yesterday to work on that and make sure we got all the measurements, all the reasons, trying to figure out exactly what happened. Unfortunately, something as simple as a seatbelt, we do recommend everybody wear their seatbelts, but apparently we still have to spread that message because that's not something being done. We're going to continue to focus on the enforcement on PCH. We've got 3 officers. One of the officers might be cycling out soon. So we've got applications for new officers, and we just got a class of 9 new officers, as we were promised by our commissioner, to help backfill all the officers so we can make sure we have plenty down on PCH, plenty in the canyon. So we did get 9 new officers that will have to be trained over the next 4 to 6 months. And they started yesterday. So now hopefully we'll have a little bit more resources so we can make sure we're on full patrol down there. And yeah, other than that, just working all the minor little issues here and there. Been dealing major issues with all the mudslides. So as soon as that's cleared up, hopefully that'll clear up some of the major problems we've been having Topanga, PCH, and everywhere else, everything besides the slide down the hills and into the roadways.
Thank you so much. And I guess just had a quick question regarding PCH. When you talk about the canyons, is that also include Mulholland Highway, Las Virgenes?
So the canyons is referring to Mulholland, Las Virgenes, Canaan, Topanga, and then PCH is PCH. We kind of leave that as its own little beast because it really is its own little beast. The canyon roads, we will chase the racers, chase the reckless all day long, but I mean they're definitely one step ahead of us in that they've got all the abilities. They've got air traffic information. They can find out where helicopters are. So we do get our helicopters down. We use LA County's helicopters whenever we can for chasing these groups, but we're all over the place down in the canyons. But yeah, PCH is I always refer to it just as PCH because it is its own little beast.
Okay. And if we know in our community, there's certain days and times where the speeding is, where the racing and speeding takes place, can our city manager just reach out directly to you?
Absolutely. That's, I mean, I can pass that information on to my units, my officers. If we have, as I tell people, there's people that say, oh, well, it happens all day, every day. And I'm like, well, we can't be sitting right there all day, every day. But if you know that Wednesday nights at 10 p.m., we have a group of 25 BMWs that come in and just tear up everything, we will try and refocus our energy and make sure we get a couple units down there and help stop that. We've done it in the past. It's been very successful. We've had some residents that were very involved, especially in the street racing issues, and we were able to kind of stop some of that. But I mean, like I said, once we get information that it happens all day, every day, that's no different than the people that say there's people racing on the freeway. Where? On the 101. Where? All over it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. There's now people gathering at the El Camino Shopping Center, which is in Woodland Hills, and then they come into Calabasas certain day times. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but so I'll have our city manager pass the information along to you.
Yeah, anytime we've got specifics, we work much better with specifics than we do with vagary.
Great. We have Wednesday's incentives, so we'll pass that along to you. Thank you so much. Does anyone else, Kelly?
Yeah. Hi. I just wanted, Officer Ramstead, I just wanted to tell you give you a little positive feedback on one of your officers, which maybe my colleague Sue McSweeney won't appreciate, but she did tell me last week that she did run out of gas, not sure where on the 101, was waiting and waiting for AAA, and one of your officers saw her there, pulled over, and waited with her until AAA came and urged AAA to respond faster. And she said, this gentleman, your officer, his name escapes me, I'm sorry about that, but was exceptional and accompanied her to the gas station and could not have been more caring and careful and responsive to her. And actually, I think she invited him to a council meeting. He was so great. So I just wanted to give you that positive feedback. I know your guys are out there alone and they don't get, a lot of interaction that's positive. So I just want to tell you that I can find out what his name was from her. I should have written it down and I didn't, but she said he was incredible and made her feel safe and took care of everything for her. So I just wanted to tell you.
That's fantastic. We always like hearing that. If you could, I would appreciate if you could email the information over, because that will absolutely go in his file. That gets him a little attaboy and just one more positivity thing.
Yes.
And we like to embarrass our officers in front of everybody else. So then my captain will come in, make a big deal out of it, and it's more fun that way. So, but we always do appreciate it.
Will you put your email, your direct email in the chat so I can follow up on that? She might be embarrassed that I told you she ran out of gas, but it happens.
It's okay. We won't tell her we're judging her.
Okay.
So Officer Ramstead, just a little bit more on the story. I think she would have preferred, Kelly, if you'd said her car had a problem on the 101. May have been a little bit nicer, but she did indeed run out of gas. But the other thing that's important to this story is your officer had no idea Sue McSweeney was a council member until the very, very end of the interaction. And that was part of what I think she was so impressed by, is it wasn't that he was taking care of her because of who she was. It was just a stranded motorist late at night. And as Ms. Honig said, just really impressive. And we're happy to embarrass not only the officer, but our colleagues. So it's all good.
Just so the name of the officer was Clayton Phillips, is my understanding. If that name sounds familiar. And Sue told me that story too, and she told me she broke down on Highway 101. So
I know. Okay. We can go with breaking down. That's fine.
There you go. Let's do that.
Did you say Clayton Phillips?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't need to email you now, officer.
Perfect.
You got his name. So yeah. Thanks, Ray. That is so true. She never told him who she was. Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate it, and I'll make sure Officer Phillips gets the recognition he duly deserves. But I expect no less from any of my officers. They're very professional. They do their job, and they care about what they do. So thank you.
Thank you, Officer Ramstead, for everything you guys are doing. We really appreciate it. Now I'm going to turn over to Jeff. Would you like to highlight your Cal Cities update? I know you put some stuff in the chat as well.
Yes, I did. I jumped the gun a little bit on the chat. I remember I used to follow Captain Smith, but it's always good to hear from the CHP and Supervisor Horvath's office too. But I put my report in the chat just for anybody who had a problem receiving it. This way you get all the benefit of the live links. I also added another document that I'm going to be sending out to city staff and city managers later today. It's about 99 bills. It's our initial look at legislation for the year. This is essentially built off of the PowerPoint presentation from a recent webinar we did highlighting some of these pieces of legislation. A lot of them are, you'll see that we don't have positions on them necessarily. You'll see pending. This is going before many of these bills are going before our policy committees at the end of this week, and then following that, possibly to the board if we need to update any policies. I also am going to make sure and highlight some of the information that we talked about from the Allen speed camera bill. Just to highlight some of the pieces of my report, we do have 12 sponsored bills this year. The first one on the list is AB 2330, which actually will help with fuel reduction and getting those permits needed to clear fuel for high fire zones. So that may be something of interest, certainly to this region. And then I know that sober living homes have been an issue in this COG region before. So we do have also 4 bills related to those homes that we're trying to work on this year again. It's really popped up again in Orange County and other places around the state, but I know it's been a focus in this region too. Lastly, I wanted to also mention the Taxpayer Deception Act, the California Business Roundtable measure that we've been talking about. I was in Hidden Hills last week to make a presentation, and they formally opposed it. I know I've got Calabasas scheduled, and Agoura Hills has already taken a position on it, but I did want to just say I'm available for Malibu or Westlake Village to get that on the calendar sometime soon, so we can really begin. Now that the March election's behind us, I want to start focusing in on November and making sure that we're all aware of what that initiative would do in November. So that's all I have right now, but I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Does anyone have any questions for Jeff? Jeff, thank you for the update as always. Let's see. Now we'll turn over to our legislative staff. I see Nancy's on the line.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see your faces. In the Capitol, things are moving. We are going to have a conversation after all of our reports on 1999, which is a big one for us. So I will leave that until later. And I will let Davis talk about the camera bill. There is a reason that Senator Allen is carrying it first, and then Jackie will push it on the Assembly side. And I believe that Captain C2 learned more about that yesterday. And Captain C2, if you are still listening, if you would like to connect with Brett, our Chief of Staff, or Brandon, our Ledge Director, to talk more about that, I will gladly send you their information. One exciting thing that we are just beginning working on is in the district, is we are going to do a Be Prepared Safety Fair with Lindsay Horvath's office, Supervisor Horvath, and the city of Calabasas, and we are inviting all of the COG cities to join us. You will be getting some more information on that later today or tomorrow. It's going to be a bigger event. We're doing it at the newly revamped community center. The fire department and our sheriff's department and hopefully CHP will all be there. It's kind of going to be a touch-a-truck on the outside where we'll have safety vehicles prepared in every sense of the word, not just fire, earthquake. We're going to have behavioral health there. We're going to have hospitals there with blood pressure checks. Any way you can think of that we need to be prepared is going to be part of this event. So it's going to be a fair-like atmosphere, but with much, much good information. So that is going to be June 8th, and it'll be a quick event. It's just from 10 to 1, and we hope that the other cities will join us. We'd love for you all to have booths to give out any of your information. We are starting our summer intern program, so if any of you have high school age in the upper age groups, juniors and seniors, or college freshmen that are going to be home, please have them go online and look at our intern things. Budget allocations. I'm going to let Davis talk more about the budget because he's better at it. But in part of the wheeling and dealing, even with the deficit, we did get budget allocations from last year are going to be paid instead of clawed back. So Agoura hopefully will get their bike path money if they haven't had it already. We did have a meeting up in Sacramento with AT&T to discuss more on the issues about the color, them withdrawing to do the landlines. And still, even after that meeting, both the senator and Jackie decided that they would write a letter against them withdrawing. It's just too dangerous, especially for the COG cities, to get rid of landlines right now. There isn't enough available, and you all wrote letters as well. But during that meeting, we did mention that the relationship between the AT&T person who is local and the COG cities, our office, just wasn't very good. So we have a new person, Ursula Moran with AT&T, who is working on maybe reaching out to the community, talking more about what the community believes they need to help them if they want to go for a color application again, if they do not make it through this time. So if you would like her contact information, I will gladly send that to you.
Nancy?
Yeah?
Who did Ursula, who you said she replaced somebody?
Yeah, Dan, who
Oh.
was talking to us. I don't know that she replaced him. She's just going to be working with us now instead of Dan, who was speaking with us the last time. So she's going to be working on that. We've also been working a lot with Caltrans. I know Topanga isn't a COG city, but I am sure there are many in our cities that use that route. The slide is still unstable. They're not sure when they're going to be able to clear it. It is a huge imposition for the city of Topanga and anybody that wants to get from your cities to PCH, but we are working with it. Caltrans is being really, really receptive to doing all they can as fast as they can. And I think that's it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
Kelly?
Just Nancy, in that meeting that you were just discussing, now that we have Ursula, was there any discussion of having an actual public meeting within Los Angeles County, not in Indio?
No, not live,
Okay.
but that meeting is today. The online meeting is today. So if any of you want to check that, no, there won't. They are talking about the community meetings too, but it won't be a community meeting where we're talking.
Got it. Okay.
To the team.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think, Sophia, I saw your hand raised. Not sure if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just want to, Nancy covered it. I just wanted to say as well that the community meeting, the virtual one, is happening today as well for the CPUC, to make sure that our residents and your cities know about that and that they're participating. I know that the supervisor as well sent in an opposition letter to the CPUC regarding this, but Nancy, I just want to make sure that people knew about the community meeting as well. But I think it's covered, so all good.
And Jeff put in the chat that the LA County Division will also be testifying. So there'll be all of our letters submitted and a lot of people testifying on behalf of this area, which is great. Let's see, is Dave, now we can, sorry, Nancy, do you have anything else to add?
No. Davis, take it away.
Perfect.
Can I interrupt really quick? This is Hope Christman.
Oh, Hope, yes.
Hi. I just wanted to point out that today's hearings for the CPUC will be at both 2 and 6 p.m. And if any elected officials will be speaking, please announce yourself as such so that they can move you up to the front of the line for comments.
Thank you so much.
How did they go about announcing themselves?
Yeah, when you tell the operator your name and that you'll want to be providing public comments, you can let them know who you're representing. You can also, if you plan to speak, you can also notify me in advance. I'll be happy to spread the list to the operators in advance.
Hope, I have a question for you. If we've already submitted letters, is it redundant to say the exact same thing?
No, you may speak the same thing twice.
Okay. I mean, does it carry any more weight, or is it just, I don't want to speak for the sake of just speaking when the letter would say the exact same thing.
It depends on how the judge wants to view it. I can't speak on his behalf, but I always recommend that if you're going to be in attendance, please speak.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much. Now, Davis, your turn.
Well, good morning, everyone. I know we're running a bit long on time, so I will try and be brief, but I will start with the budget since Nancy did mention that. As I'm sure everyone is aware at this point, we are looking at a very sizable budget shortfall this year in California. The projections have ranged from anywhere between $37 billion to $68 billion. The governor has put out his proposal to close that gap, which does not involve any tax increases, but instead proposes one, dipping into our rainy day fund, and then also cutting a few investments that were made in past budgetary cycles. The legislature will put out its own proposal in May. Negotiations will then ensue, and we'll have a much better idea of what the actual budget is going to look like by the time June rolls around. That being said, as Nancy mentioned, there won't be clawbacks of past district budget allocations, but it is our expectation that, unlike the last few years where we were able to go to our cities and say, hey, do you have projects that you're looking for funding for? And you were able to send us those projects, and we were hopefully able to get you some state money back. We're not expecting that that's going to be something available to you this year. That said, if that changes, I will certainly let you know. But just given the big gap between our projected revenue and allocations, I don't expect that we're going to have district budget allocations this year. That being said, I know a lot of you right now have been submitting applications for congressional funding for various projects that your cities might be working on. We are happy to provide letters of support for those applications. So please feel free to reach out to me if that is something that you're interested in. I know we've already submitted one letter for the city of Agoura Hills, and happy to help any of you with any other projects in that regard as well. Touching on SB 1297, that is our speed camera bill, as Nancy briefly alluded to. Senator Allen introduced that bill on the Senate side because we expect that the Senate Transportation Committee is going to be way more receptive to that bill than the adjacent committee on the Assembly side. We do expect that that will pass out of the Senate, and hopefully it will then have some momentum behind it by the time it gets over to the Assembly Transportation Committee, where the current and new chair of that committee is not a fan of speed cameras. In fact, she was the only Democratic member to vote no on the existing speed camera pilot program. So, we will be very engaged to try and make some headway over there. We will certainly ask for the COG's official support to help us try and get that across the finish line. The other thing I will mention is we did add a component to that bill, so it's now not just speed cameras. The other thing that we're hoping to do with this bill is allow for local jurisdictions, so local cities, to be able to lower speed limits on state highways within their city limits. Some of you might be familiar with AB 43, which was passed a few years ago and allows cities in certain commercial and residential districts to do this and bypass the 85th percentile rule. But that bill did not apply specifically to state highways. So we added a component into 1297 to expand AB 43 so that it would apply to state highways. And that wouldn't just then apply to PCH Malibu, but also Topanga Canyon and any other state highway in our area that runs through a commercial or residential district. Senator Allen just introduced the rest of his bill package. If anyone has specific questions on any of those bills, just feel free to reach out to me. Environmental protection is once again going to be a big focus for us in this package, good governance and transparency as well. More broadly in the Senate, the senator and his colleagues are really focused on public safety this session. A bipartisan group of senators just introduced a Working Together for a Safer California package that features over a dozen bills specifically targeted at combating the fentanyl crisis, as well as smash and grabs and other types of property crimes. We know that those have been two issues where we've seen some pretty concerning increases in illegal activity over the last several years. So that is a big priority this year for the legislature. And then one last sneak peek note, next month we are going to be holding our next virtual town hall, and it will be focused on water conservation. I do not have a date and time yet, but as soon as I have that information, I will share it with you all. And we will also, by the end of this week, be announcing that in honor of March being Arts Education Month, we will be doing a Senate District 24 student photography contest. So I will have more details on that shortly as well, and I can share that with all of our city reps and with Terry as well, so you can help disseminate that if you know any young people who might be interested in participating. So happy to answer any questions if anyone has you. If not, it's always good to see everyone.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? I see we have Stephanie from Congresswoman Brownlee's office on. I didn't know if Stephanie, if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, just have a quick update. A few weeks ago, the Congresswoman attended an event for the Democratic Women's Caucus to demand passage of critical legislation to protect IVF. She thinks that IVF should be between patients and their doctors, so she urges the Speaker of the House to pass the Access to Family Building Act. She also introduced recently Improving Coordinations of Agricultural Research and Data Act that basically allows agricultural climate research, data collection and monitoring to adoption of climate smart agricultural practices. And that's it for my end.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And now I wanted to know if Stephanie Mullen from Metro, if you had anything you wanted to add.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I don't have anything to add, but it was a pleasure to be on the call today, and I'm just keeping my eyes open for transportation opportunities for the cities. Great to hear what's and also just keeping an eye on what's going on with the AT&T vote. So I'll be monitoring today, and I hope you all have a great week.
Great. Thanks so much, Stephanie. And thank you to everyone. Want to make sure I didn't miss anyone before we move on to our new action items.
President Weintraub, I apologize. I forgot a very important announcement that I imagine our mayor is going to want to make about the composition of our council. Sorry about that. And go ahead, Mayor Gall.
No problem.
Oh, yes, I forgot it too. I'm so
forgot
sorry.
it too.
And I was so excited.
I know.
We had a vacancy in our council, and our city put out an application form to our constituents, and we received 2 applications. And I'm really, really happy to announce that council unanimously appointed Adam Wasserman to be our newest council member. He's a 19-year City of Hidneos resident. He's an attorney by trade, and he's extremely smart and thoughtful, and we couldn't be happier to welcome Adam Wasserman to our council. And I hope to introduce him to all of you very soon.
Great. Congratulations to the City of Hidden Hills for having a full council again. Now I will move on to our action items, and I will turn it over to Terry. Oh, you're on mute, Terry.
Sorry about that. Barking dogs. The first item is AB 1999 that Nancy mentioned, and that has been discussed by Assemblywoman Irwin when she was at our COG meeting last fall. So basically, as you know, AB 1999 will repeal a mandate for the PUC to create an income-based fixed charge fee to be paid by residential taxpayers, and it will return to prior law, which allows the PUC to establish a fixed charge up to $10 per ratepayer and $5 for the care ratepayers. I know we're short on time, so I'm not going to provide a lot of background other than basically trying to come up with an income-based rate is impossible based upon privacy laws, and trying to collect that information. So hopefully, if this is approved, we'll go back to the $5 and $10 amount that will be much more reasonable than what was proposed. And we appreciate all the work that Assemblymember Irwin has done on this and taking the leadership. And it's a very important issue. And so I would recommend that the governing board approve a letter of support that I will draft and then forward to President Weintraub.
Is there a motion or first, are there any questions for Terry? Let's start there.
No, but could I just mention one thing? Because it is a campaign year, some of the talking points being put out by the Republican side of things, especially in Ventura County, is that they're ignoring the 1999 and saying that, you know, all of the assembly members and senators that voted originally, because they didn't know, as Jackie had told you, they didn't know that this trailer bill was in there. So we are getting even death threats and horrible letters about the original 205. So anything that you can do in your communities to let them know about AB 1999 and the repeal of 205 would be very, very helpful. And that's it.
Thanks, Nancy. Thanks, Terry. Is there a motion to send a letter supporting this?
Paul is.
I'd like to make a motion that we send a letter in support of AB 1999.
I second.
Go ahead, Nico.
Terry, you want to do roll call?
Aniko Gold.
Aye.
Paul Grisanti.
Aye.
Kelly Honig.
Aye.
President Weintraub.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you. And then we're going to move on to our last item, our last action item, which is LA County Homeless Count Grant 24 to 25 Statement of Work. Terry, will you please present this report?
Yes, basically abbreviating it to let the governing board members know that, sorry about the background noise, let the governing board members know that our county grant for the upcoming year will continue to include funding with a 5% increase for Gabriel Graham, the administrative support that I have, and then the 4 beds for Malibu that we currently have with the people concerned for individuals that they're working with in Malibu. We still have not found a suitable partner for the 101 side in SPA 2 that we could have a similar arrangement, but we're continuing to look into that. And then we're also including the $20,000 for flex funds, which is client assistance that can be a direct payment if there's a need to put somebody up or facilitate any kind of housing situation for somebody. We thought we were going to use a portion of that funding this year with an individual in Agoura Hills. However, that never came to fruition, but we're continuing to work on those. And so I would just recommend that the governing board approve the statement of work for 24-25.
Anyone have any questions for Terry? If there are not any questions, is there a motion to approve the statement of work for the 24-25 county homeless grant and authorize the executive director to sign the contract?
I move to approve. Yes, I so moved what Alicia just said.
Perfect. Is there
I
a second?
second.
Second by Paul. Roll call, please.
Aniko Gold,
Aye.
Paul Grisanti,
Aye.
Kelly Honig,
Aye.
President Weintraub.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Are there any comments or requests for future agenda items?
I do very, very briefly at the Calabasas grand opening for on last Thursday. Councilmember McSweeney proposed an idea that I believe she discussed with Mayor Gold for the COG to do an event with actually for the deputies at Lost Hill Station. Just an idea, wanted to throw it out there. We can discuss at a future time. A COG event in support of the deputies. We would have to explore the issues of the Brown Act, of course. So
I'm all for anything we can do for the deputies. We can maybe craft the agenda, like the item with a little more detail. We can work with Terry.
I'll talk with Terry and Sue. It was her idea. So I'm just passing on the info and Aniko's idea.
Great.
Oh, no, it was Sue's idea. I just ran into Sue at the Calabasas Rec Center celebration. So I just want to make sure that she's credited for the idea.
Oh yeah, she doesn't care, but okay. Thank you.
Are there any other requests for future agenda items? Okay, and we have future meeting dates. The TAC is meeting Wednesday, April 3rd. Then we have our governing board meeting in person on Tuesday, April 16th in Agoura. And then our special meeting on Monday, April 22nd with Supervisor Horvath in Malibu. So we have a lot coming up. If there is no further business, the meeting is adjourned, but just want to make sure nobody else has anything to add. Okay, then we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.